If your response to the October 7th massacre by Hamas is but 75 years of occupation, well then this video is for you. 75 years of occupation would mean that Israel in its entirety, in any borders, has no right to exist. This is morally, historically, and legally false. The occupation of the West Bank only occurred after 1967, when Arab states invaded Israel to destroy it and lost. Gaza was controlled by Egypt until 1967, and Israel withdrew entirely in 2005. So what 75-year occupation are you talking about exactly? And from what nation's land did Israel occupy territory? While there has been a Jewish and Arab population in this land for hundreds of years, there has never been an independent state of Palestine in all of human history. Even when Egypt and Jordan controlled Gaza and the West Bank from 1948 to 1967, they never declared an independent Palestinian state. Why? Because there wasn't a defined concept of Palestinian peoplehood until the 1960s, or the vision for an independent Palestinian state. That is why when offered an Arab state in 1947, we saw that the Arab leaders refused, launching a war to destroy Israel instead. So if you're calling to end the 75-year occupation, you're not calling for a state of Palestine. You're calling to wipe Israel off the map. Remember that the October 7th massacre was carried out inside of Israel proper, not a disputed or occupied territory, and it was done so against defenseless civilians, not an army. Meanwhile, exactly 0 Israelis were occupying Gaza on or before October 7th. Even the blockade is not Israeli, but a joint Egyptian-Israeli blockade. But let's talk about the rights of occupied peoples for a second. Because contrary to what you may have heard on TikTok, occupation does not grant the occupied the right to commit crimes against humanity as resistance. Rape is not resistance. Murder, torture, mutilation, and kidnapping is not resistance. Firing 20,000 rockets at major civilian population centers in Israel is not resistance. Under international law, Palestinians do not have a right to invade Israeli towns and mass murder civilians at will, even under occupation. So before you try to contextualize rape and mass murder, do a little research. You'll discover that no matter how bad Israel's policies may be, there is no legal, moral, or historical justification for the Hamas massacre on October 7th. To claim the attacks had any relation to resistance or the rights of an occupied people is to defend terrorist organizations like Hamas.